Hey everybody, I'm National Master Jesse Cohen. This is Summer School of Chess, and today's lesson is all about probing for weaknesses. Because let's face it, if you want to be an advanced player and you're facing off against advanced players, they are not just going to give you weaknesses to attack. You're going to have to probe them and encourage them to mess up their own position. Let's take a look at some famous examples today of how you can get better at inducing weaknesses. Let's get started. Our first game today comes between two world champions, Alexander Alakine playing the white pieces and Emmanuel Lasker playing the black pieces. Let's get into it. Here we have our first key position. White has just played b5, trying to start a sort of minority attack on black's queen side, trying to either encourage black to play pawn takes pawn and get an isolated d pawn to play against, or get to play pawn takes pawn and black plays pawn takes back and there'd be a backward pawn on the c file to play against. But black has some trumps too. You remember, you've got to think in these positions, what do you have that is different than the opponent, and what are you doing about it? And what are you doing about it? Again, what do you have that is different than your opponent, and what are you doing about it? In this position, Lasker has a dark square bishop, and his opponent doesn't. But at the moment, all these pawns are kind of on dark squares, and they're kind of blocking our bishop up. So, Emmanuel comes up with a sweet move. Bishop to h5. This little itsy bitsy threat, on the knight on f3 is intended. No! The purpose of this move is to tickle the knight on f3, which is the key defender of the isolated pawn on d4. And really, there is no way to guard against what's going to happen. And honestly, there is no way to guard the threat of the knight except to play the following move. Pawn g4. But what's the problem behind this move? Well, it puts one more pawn on a light square, which actually weakens the f4 square. That is now a permanently weak square. Why does that matter? Because it's a dark square. Well, a weakness is only as weak as it can be taken advantage of. And in this position, black can absolutely take advantage of that. This bishop can sink back into c7. This queen can go into d6, or some configuration of it. This knight can go into e6. Basically, black is in a prime position to take advantage of the square, or even take advantage of the pawn, the square, whatever. Take advantage of f4 and d4. So let's check this out. Bishop to f7, take, here, boom. So, trying to maybe keep that knight out of f4, but can we keep pieces off this diagonal? Oh, there it goes. Now, technically speaking, that is the only thing guarding this checkmate. But for how much longer? I wonder if we'll come up with interesting moves like rook e4 or something like that. If the bishop takes it, it would smack the knight around. That could be a neat move, maybe. Rook e1, h5, h3, knight h7. Oh, look at this. We're coming this way to destroy that defender. Takes. No trades. Remember, do we want to trade when we have the attack? No, we don't. Rook b8 saving the rook from trading with tempo on the white queen. Queen c1, knight g5. It finally happens, and white's in a desperate situation. This queen c1 was designed to try and defend. This move blocks the queen. And says, if you take my knight, I'll take on g5. But he takes it anyway. followed by playing pawn e4, threatening here and here. f6. Alakine has no time. He's got to start threatening mate himself before he's the one who gets mated. g6, f4. But eventually, black just crashes through. g6, boom, 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 pow. But eventually, it is black who crashes through on the dark squares, and in this position, resigns in light of both bishop g3, forking the knight and the rook, as well as pawn takes bishop. What a sweet game. Okay, remember, against a strong opponent, they will not give you weaknesses to go after. You are going to have to poke and prod against them to try and create those weaknesses. And remember, a weakness is only as weak as it can be punished. What are the takeaways from this lesson? Number one, against a strong opponent, they are not going to give you weaknesses. You are going to need to attack them and probe their position to encourage them or force them to move key pawns or pieces to squares that are going to permanently damage their position. But remember, point number two, a weakness is only as weak. A weakness is only as weak as you can take advantage of it. You can create weaknesses in your opponent's position all day long, but if you are not in a position to actually capitalize on it, then it doesn't matter. If you're not in a position to actually capitalize on your opponent's weaknesses, then that does not matter. Okay? And the final takeaway is this, is that, our next example comes from our next example comes from Lev Polgoyevsky. Our next example comes from Lev Polgoyevsky versus Lobudimir Fachatniki. Did you know that this is so fun to film? I love it. And stuff. Okay. And here is our key position. This position that black has taken up is known as a hedgehog structure. And basically, white has this super powerful pawn wall, this big space advantage that is really cramping black's game. And black is trying to find the right chance to smash that center, because let's face it, if you've been watching any of my videos, you know that if somebody has a center and you don't, you have got to smash it. Smash it. You got to smash it. Smash it. You got to smash it. And so black smashes it with d5. Takes. What is this? Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. You've got to think about pawns like trees. You chop them down at the bottom. If that one falls, then that one. If that one falls on g3, then f4 will fall. Takes on h4, takes there, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Now take a look at the resulting position. White is up a pawn, but look at the weaknesses in white's position. h4 is basically a dead piece. e4 is an isolated pawn being slammed by 3 black assaulters. Black's pieces have all come to life super well, and in addition, white's kingside is riddled with weaknesses. There's going to be ideas possibly like bishop to d6, kind of like in the last game, exploiting possibly this kingside space or this kingside safety issue. Like this is just, I mean, there's so many ideas that black has. If I just think about all the possibilities here and think about what white's doing here, like I don't know what white's doing here. And here's what happens. So, like, okay, e5, I'm pretty sure it's not just about here, it's about trying to defend bishop d6. So check, here, knight 5, oh gosh, Queen takes h5. Oh, that's these are two powerful threats. Yeah, so that, you know, this is mate threat number 1. Second threat is here. For example, if we like guard like queen e2, queen takes h3 is mate as well because of this pin, right? Like that'd be bad. So instead, knight d5 sacking back, rook takes, rook f1, queen takes g2. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. King takes g2, rook d2 check, resigns. Why? In light of the following variations. First of all, we are in double check. And when you're in double check, you have to run. The only safe square to run for that king is g3. Take a time. Pause this video. Can you find the forced mate? Rook to g2 check. King to f4. Rook to f8 check. The only move in this position is either queen f5 or queen f7. It doesn't matter. Either way, the rook takes it, and it is mate skis. Okay? What a beautiful game. I was looking for that weakness, but I wasn't, I didn't know about that surprise ending. That was pretty cool. All right, next game. My third example today comes between Ruben Fine and William Winter. All right, now, this is the key position. In this position, White has one thing, and that is we're castled and they are not. In addition, we do have this light square bishop. And it seems like we may even have development a bit, but it's like the position is just so locked up. How are we ever supposed to take advantage of it? In this position, Ruben Fine comes up with a simple but fantastic sequence. Bishop takes a6, b takes a6, and queen takes c6. Why? We already have 2 pawns for the missing bishop. e6 is basically going to fall because there's no way to stop both these threats simultaneously, and that's going to win at least a 3rd pawn. Then we actually have weaknesses to go after. So now it's 3 solid pawns and Black's king. You might be wondering here, why did Black play king d8? What would you suggest for Black? Would you suggest rook to c8, queen takes e6 check, queen e7, queen takes f5? I mean, I guess you could pull this off. However, it's now a 4th pawn, and, Black still can't castle anyway. None of these look that great. I think Black is trying to lose as little as possible. So now we're only down, well, nothing, I guess, technically. But other nice move by White. G4, again, trying to undermine here, and create more targets. I want you to notice over and over again that it is pawns that these guys are going after. Pawns are the #1 target of all masters. They are weak, they are slow. They are gatekeepers. Roll those pawns, and resigns. Finally, everything is opening up at that king. Again, though, go back here. The whole point of this is that you need advantages you can take. You need advantages you can actually capitalize on. In this position, let's just take a deeper look for a second. Black has weaknesses. If we want to be specific, that's a weak square, that's a weak square, that's weak, that's weak. Yeah, those are basically the weaknesses. Potential weaknesses. And so, yeah. Now, okay, we're taking advantage of that, but what can we actually do with that? Can we really plant a piece there? Not so much. Can we plant a piece there? No. Can we take advantage of that? We can. We can play like bishop c4 and queen b3. We can hit it twice. But after that, and which is, definitely guardable by Black, it just ends. There's just no way. I mean, how do you actually hit anything around here? And so this actually allowed White to capitalize on all these weaknesses. So this was just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. By the way, everybody, I just want to say a big and most sincere thank you. We reached over 1,000 views so far on the Princess Gambit Revealed video. We are over 220 subscribers at the making of this video, and there is just so much more to come. By the way, I already have a meeting scheduled with the director. I can't wait to show you guys some of the ideas I've got brewing, okay? So just sit back. It's going to be fun. And again, if you're interested to get on this with me, there's always room. Otherwise, yeah, I got no problem just leading the charge. We're going to get this done. I'm so excited. Stay tuned. Yeah.